All right, time to wrap up a less than stellar season, a shorter season, episode 20, The End. And that is what this was supposed to be. That was supposed to be the final episode of the X-Files television series. Chris Carter wanted to move into telling this story in feature films, and the studio had other plans for it. Now, I don't really understand this exactly, because this is released, right? Then like a month or two later the movie releases, and then like 3 months later the season 6 releases. Yeah, so I don't understand really how
timing.
He was like, this is it, this is the end. Then got, I know they were filming the movie during this production of season 5, so that makes sense on how they got a movie out so fast. But how they got a season 6 so fast is kind of weird to me, because how do you... Nowadays, we get like 2-3 years between seasons.
Oh, easily.
And when they weren't even planning on another season, they got a 22 episode season up and running in 5 months.
I don't know. I think it's very shocking to me too, because it's like,
and I think season 6 is exponentially better than season 5 too. Yes. So the quality has actually increased.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it. I really don't. It's kind of crazy.
This must have happened behind the scenes way before, like where they had written season 5 completely and were like, we're done, and then in the midst of season 5 airing, months and months and months before, while they were working on the film, they were like, it's not going to work out. Because I thought that they would have saw the box office of the movie to make that decision.
Right.
But there's no way they saw the box office results and then were like, actually, we're going to need a new season in 2 months. Because by the time they were to get box office results, it was already over a month into the film.
Yeah.
And the next season comes in November.
Yeah.
And it would have been July, August by that point. Yeah. There's no way. So they must have known that they were doing a season 6 halfway through season 5.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's probably the only explanation. Because, this episode is the end. And it's not a satisfying end to the show for me at all. Like, even if they were planning on going into movies, I feel like this is a very quick wrap up of things.
Oh, it's not a final episode at all.
It doesn't feel good, especially like the very end, which is just like the X-Files are closed and the whole like basement office has been burned. That's like one of the most dissatisfying and even infuriating endings. Like, if I was watching this and that's how it ended, and it was just like, you might get more movies, like you're getting one more movie at least, but that could be the end too, is like, what were they thinking?
Yeah, I don't know. So we have, and even the like the truth is out there, part of the opening credits, it just says the end.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. Like, they aired this. This is why it's kind of confusing to me on why they would title this The End, put the end in the opening credits, when at this point they had to know season 6 was happening. They just had to have. So why wouldn't they go back in and change the end?
It's also...
Because then the next episode is called The Beginning.
Right. The story in this too, like with this little boy that is like the answer to all of their, like, of all the X-Files is what they say. This is easily something that they could have made into a 2-part episode, because they've done 2 and 3-part episodes for like less. You know what I mean? And it's like there's a lot to unpack in this, and I feel like if they really wanted to connect this kid to being like, he could solve all our questions and like really explain that, because the
answer... Are you gonna
say
quandaries?
Well, no, I don't know what I was gonna say. But like him being the answer is just the answer to anything supernatural and paranormal, not to like the government stuff. Yeah. So that's also kind of confusing that they're like, he's like the answer to the X-Files. It's like, but there's so many files, so many X-Files that are about the government and about like those conspiracies, as well as like the mind readers and Pusher and like, all those other stuff. So it's just weird. I feel like
I don't see how he's the answer to all of the
X-Files. I don't think so, because like, what about what's it? Oh my god. Like
Eugene
Toombs?
Victor Toombs? Yeah.
How does he answer Toombs?
No idea.
His existence.
Zero. So
That's what I
think
mean.
okay, so I think what happens there is that the X-Files has like two continuities. There's the like overall arching story of just the framework of like the alien stuff. Like that's the X-Files.
Yeah.
And then there's the like spin-off universe episodes where you do like Tombs and you do, you know, all of the Dwayne Barry. Well, Dwayne Barry's a part of the main story, but like The Great Mutado or any of those types of episodes.
Yeah.
For me, that's like, I just feel like those are almost not even canonical, even though they are somewhat referenced throughout the rest of the show. I feel like the X-Files, when it comes to like when they made the movie, when they talk about the big episodes are always relating to Mulder's search for UFOs.
Yes, always.
And so to me, it's like it explains that, but once again, does it explain all the government cover-ups and conspiracies? No. And I don't even really know. I don't know, man.
Because this episode
it's not
also
satisfying at all.
It's not, because this is also, I don't think we even get until episode 1 of season 6 that he is like got alien DNA within him. Right? So it's like, this doesn't relate to any of the main driving factors for Mulder's UFO.
But how many
freaking
things have we come across that have had alien DNA in
them?
them?
I know. Tons.
Even Scully herself
Tons.
has had a disease put in her that had alien origins. So how this kid's
I don't know. I think
is the unlocking piece to the puzzle. It's like, how many clones have you come across that were cloned off of your sister? That had how many aliens did you run into that you had to stake in the back of the neck, that you got stuff inside of you that Scully had to put you in ice to keep you from dying because you had an alien disease in you? Like, what? This piece is the end all be all? Then take his blood. It's right there.
And anyway, what I do like about this episode is, so we get a return of one of Mulder's old partners, who is apparently the woman that he started the X-Files with.
This bitch.
Who I do not like from the beginning at all, actually.
Which I think is on purpose.
I do kind of
she's going to make the heel turn.
But she just, I find her to be, like, suspicious from the beginning. Like, I don't trust her intentions, like, at all. And she's really kind of passive-aggressive in some ways, especially to Mulder about Scully. Like, she has a conversation with him at one point in the episode where she's like, wouldn't it have been easier if you had like a partner that believes in like the same thing as you and all of that? And we get a really great kind of answer. Like, Mulder's answer to that happens in the movie, which we'll talk about, like, because he says it to Scully.
You kept me honest.
Yeah, that whole thing. Anyway, but I like that the kid is like, he obviously can read minds. And he's like, I know that, like, one of you is thinking about him and he's thinking about one of you. Like, that whole scene and stuff, because you're like, oh, who is it?
Yeah.
And everything.
Mulder doesn't deal... I don't think Mulder does well. This is why Scully is the perfect partner for him. He doesn't do well unchecked.
Yeah.
He needs someone there to keep him grounded. Because he is so apt to believe everything. He gets led astray very easily, and he needs someone who keep him on the path to constantly come in and be like, come on over here, Mulder, come back to reality. And being around someone like himself, he'll turn into the lone gunman. He'll be living in a basement by himself with two other nutcases.
Yeah.
Like, the lone gunmen are his fate without Scully.
Yeah, Scully keeps him tethered to Earth, which is important for him because he can also lift her kind of off the ground, and they balance each other. That is important, but as we've talked about, obviously, there's sometimes frustration with Scully because she's like, I'm not going to be lifted up like I don't want to believe, but... And
Scully's also, of course, going to be jealous by
that was the other thing, is that it's very funny and, like, expected at this point that anytime another woman is, like, working with them, that Mulder is an attractive woman, especially if Mulder has a history with her, Scully always gets jealous. She's a very jealous person.
She is. It has, have they slept together? Is that explicitly said in this?
Oh, No, I don't think it's explicitly said, but Scully feels definitely threatened by her presence. Especially because she knows, like, oh, this is, like, the woman that you started the X-Files with.
Because the
like,
British girl, he definitely
The British girl was an old girlfriend,
yes,
for sure.
But this girl...
But this one is, as far as we know, just a partner, not anything else.
Scully would kind of have to be like, if he had slept with her, she's like, why do you sleep with all your colleagues but me?
100%.
Like, why are we not
100%.
dating? If you dated everyone else and we've been together longer
yes.
and we've been through more together,
yeah.
and you even told me you loved me, does
that
happen?
That happen?
I think that happens in seasons.
That's in season 6. No, that's in season
okay.
6. It's a great. That's the Queen Anne episode.
He's in like a hospital.
It's the boat episode.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that's
end.
what it is.
Anyway, we'll talk about that there. Boat. That's such a great episode. Mm-hmm. That actually might be where he has that. Oh no, never mind.
So the smoking man is hunted at the beginning
yes,
of this. He's drawn out of his hiding, which brings him back into the fold because Alex Krycek is sent out there to retrieve him. He thinks that he's being killed, but it's like, no, you've been called back. We need your help. So Smoking Man's back in play, as is his son, Spender.
He is quickly becoming like, I won't say the new Krycek for Mulder, but he's like Mulder's new like nemesis, kind of.
I don't know what
nemesis,
to make of him.
But what's the word when they're like rival? They're rivals.
I definitely think so. I think Spender is gonna have his epiphany moment,
his come to Jesus moment with
Yeah.
that. I do
and
too.
he's gonna help Mulder
eventually.
Yeah.
I do too. But like as of right now, and also where we were at in season 6, like he's a huge rival for Mulder, and
because all of his hatred for Mulder is off false pretenses.
Yes, it is 100%.
So when he finds out the truth, I think Spender's a good guy.
He
just thinks he led his mom down a path that got her killed.
I do too. Yeah, I think that he's ultimately a good person. He's just kind of trying to play by the book. He's trying to do his job and follow the rules, and he doesn't have a reason to think that he shouldn't do that as of right now.
Yeah.
So, anyway, this kid gets kidnapped.
Yeah.
And the smoking man is the one that does it. I mean, like, yeah.
Yeah. Scully goes to the lone gunman because she's jealous of this new chick.
Yeah.
Which is just so funny to me. I like when Scully goes to them without Mulder.
Yeah, she like asks him specifically, like, do you know about this? And he was like, oh, that was, who says it? His chickadee?
Frohickey.
Yeah, Frohickey's like, oh, that's his chickadee from back in the day.
He's like, she's hot.
Yeah, they always say that. And Scully's just like,
not hotter than me, right?
100.
Correct. I hope that he would think that. But yeah, it doesn't matter what chick they bring around. Frohickey's always like, hey.
He just loves women. He's like a little womanizer.
Hey, I get it. And then of course Scully comes in on them holding hands.
It's so
it's
bad,
always that writing.
They're having like a fine conversation because Mulder's basically telling her like, I'm okay without you. Like I didn't need you basically. Like
I got Scully. I'm good.
Yeah, and she's, that's not, I don't think there's anything in that Mulder is like, he doesn't have a romantic feeling towards her at all. But of course, Scully just kind of sees them like sort of smiling at each other and like, holding hands. So she's like, great.
Oh,
like,
she's pissed.
And then she goes out to the car and like calls him and is like, I'm gonna meet you, like meet me at the office.
Oh yeah, she's lying.
Meet me at work. And he's like, oh, I'm here, just come here.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, just meet me at work.
She straight up lies
so
to
that's
him.
That's sad.
But then
she's
she
like,
sees it. That's where she sees Spender talk, or is that Mulder that sees Spender talking to the smoking man?
Mulder sees Spender talking.
She sees someone driving away.
Yes.
In the parking lot.
Yeah, but then Mulder, when he comes out,
he catches them.
He catches Spender talking to the smoking man behind a pillar and is like, "Who was that? Who are you talking to?"
But they think he's dead.
Yeah, but I don't think they think he's dead anymore. I don't think at this point they.
Did we get confirmation that they think that he's still alive? I can't remember.
I'm sure I don't remember either, but I don't think Mulder bought the story that he died. If he did,
ever,
I don't remember. But anyway, and then Spender's just like, "What the?" Like,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, Mulder knows Smoking Man is alive. I think this might be he doesn't outright see him though. He just thinks it's him.
He just sees a figure that's smoking.
I know that they refer to the part of the brain that the kid's using in science. Scully says they refer to it as the God module. Now, Scully has like a moment here where she sees something unexplainable by science and gets confirmation that this kid has alien DNA and he can, without a shadow of a doubt, read minds.
It does happen, yeah, in this episode.
And it's like, Scully, she watches him, these people are sitting there, they're holding up cards, he's telling them what they ate for breakfast.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's like
there's no way you could refute this.
Because it's
and he should have done it to Scully, because that would have been even more of
he kind of does it to her at one point, I think. Mm-hmm. He just has but I think she in her mind is he's just a really insightful kid kind of a thing. She still has that skepticism, but yeah, the episode ends with they're all in the office and Scully's saying Mulder and Scully are trying to convince them that this kid is important and should be studied, right? And then that's when the fire starts. Do they get oh wait, I'm sorry. There's a panel, right? Isn't that where they find out that Skinner isn't their director anymore too? They're ADA Skinner. This is where they get demoted. I'm trying to remember if that happened here.
That should be in the next episode because Skinner's still with them in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but then they get word that a fire happened and then they go downstairs and...
They're all over the place with the continuity on this because in this episode, the X-Files is burned down and it's the X-Files are over. Then at the end of the movie, they're their X-Files have reopened.
Yeah.
Then they come back and they're you're off the X-Files.
Right, so they're reopened,
X-Files
but
done,
they're not on
but
the
they're
X-Files.
open, but they're done.
Yeah.
They just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth on are the X-Files. And we already did this, right? We did this in season 1. It ends with the X-Files are closed. And then it ends with immediate, something sent out and the guy looks at it and it's X-Files reopened. We literally already did this with the piece of paper that says X-Files reopened.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the same thing happens at the end of the movie. It's we've already done this. But it's funny because this episode's supposed to end with the X-Files being over and then them pushing past without the X-Files, then them being they're reopened and then they start the next season and they're yeah, but they're reopened, but you're not on them.
Yeah.
And it's make up your mind. Are the X-Files done or are they not?
Yeah.
But yeah, so reading minds is a curse. That's all I can say. That's my final thing.
This kid is I don't like it.
He's I hate people.
He's I think he says something about liking doing chess because it's they're thinking very specific thoughts, versus just because he's most people are they'll say one thing to you and they'll be thinking the opposite of it.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
Yeah, mind reading would be such a curse.
You would hate everyone if you could read their minds.
It's not a good thing to be able to do.
Your mind is also not a very good gauge of who you are, though, too.
Yeah,
I think all sorts of shit I don't mean. We hash things out in our brain.
Yeah.
We're trying to assess situations. We say dreadful, terrible things in our head, either humorously or just because you have some OCD like I do, or because you're just trying to hash out your emotions and you say terrible, unforgivable things in your head, but then your mouth is a filter of what you put in your brain versus what actually comes out into the world, right?
Yeah.
And so reading people's minds, I don't think it would give you a good sense of anything because if you were to read my mind, you wouldn't have a very good sense of who I am because I think all sorts of things, but they're not all representative of who I am or what my intentions are.
Yeah.
Right? So we would all look like cheats. We would all look like monsters. We would all look like
liars.
Terrible. Right, liars.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are. So it would absolutely be a curse. Anyways, I got to get to work, and we're done with this anyways. Next is the movie, which is very excited to talk about. I think people will actually watch that video. That'll be the most watched X-Files video by far.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got to go, and we'll see you for Fight the Future.
Bye.
In the future. All right, bye.